Hey there, this is Susanna from Cocoa Daisy sharing with you how I use the September print and cut files for this layout. First things first, I had to open my file and I can't print in 12 by 12, so I had to open a letter size document 8.5 by 11. There's my sheet. Then I opened my Cocoa Daisy files, which I'd already imported, and opened that oak leaf that you see there. I then sized it to fit various different sizes that I wanted to play with. And because I want to have the cut border on the outside of the print file, I then went to overlay and chose a size that fit around the edge of the leaf that gave me a nice white border, and hit overlay, and that left me with those red cut lines. I didn't want the inside of the leaf cut out, so I started to delete the innards of the leaf, and you'll see what I mean here, and then decided that this was probably not the most efficient way to do this, so dragged the outside overlay back over the leaf as I'm doing there, and then just deleted all of the innard files so that I just had that outside border that would cut. Knowing that I wanted to drag these files around, I had to group them together. But first of all, I wanted them overlapped. I did this by going up to the align function and hit align middle, which then aligned the centers of each file. Then I went down to group to tie the two together so that I could move them around and move them as one unit. I then duplicated it because I knew I wanted to use various different sizes throughout the layout. I wanted to have some variability throughout. Then I needed to go and put the registration marks. I'd forgotten to do that, so here I am hitting the registration marks, and what this does is it allows the computer to recognize where it needs to print and cut once you've got the printed files. So I aligned these on my sheet, and I didn't want to waste the whole piece of paper, so I moved my bottom registration marks up closer to the top of the leaves. And so you see that bottom sort of right angle moving up towards the top of the page. Here I am duplicating the leaves so that I've got multiple different sizes, and I'm arranging them within those registration marks so that they stay within the noticeable marks. I wanted some leaves to look different than the other, so I just flipped that one. And then played around with it. Now we're ready to print these files. So you go ahead and hit print on your program, and ta-da! There's the printed leaves, and you can see the red line that they're going to cut out. Now I want to actually cut the red outlines, so I'm removing, I have to ungroup it, and then I'm removing the print file. You don't have to do that. It's the type A personality in me that needed to do that. So you have to hit ungroup when you right click, which allows you to separate the two files, and then you can remove the print file just like that, drag and drop it off of your working space. And you have to do that for each one. Whoops, I accidentally moved the cut file with it. I didn't ungroup it, so I got to do that again. And now those cut files are ready to be cut. So I go ahead and I actually, because of the version of Silhouette Design Studio that I work in, I have to turn these into cut files. They're cut lines, but they're not actually cut files. So I go up and I hit cut after highlighting all three, then choose the type of material that I'm working with, and in this case just happened to be white cardstock, and hit print. So it goes through the registration marks, and voila! When you've removed your borders, there's your print and cut file. Now it's time to watercolor them. So I got all my materials out. I got my Peerless watercolors, my brushes. I keep a jar of clean water by my desk so I don't have to go up the stairs, downstairs to the kitchen all the time, and my cut files. So first things first, you got to prime the watercolor paper, which is actually what I ended up using. Sorry, I think I'd said cardstock before, and you need to get that watercolor paper good and wet so that the watercolors will migrate the way that you want to. And I'm just speeding through this because you don't need to see each and everything. Now, you also have to know that the ink, as you do this from an inkjet printer, will migrate. Here I've gotten my Peerless watercolors and I chose the color that I wanted, and I'm using olive green, and I am just taking that little palette because I've got them on removable palettes and working with that, dipping my brush and getting the watercolor into those spaces in there. I'm checking first to make sure that that's the color that I want, and off I go, just putting that green in there. And I want different depths and shades, so I just work with it to get a look that works for me. This wouldn't have gone quite so well had I not put all that water beforehand, so that the paper could really absorb, the watercolor paper could really absorb that. And where it was too wet, I just used a clean brush to pick off some of the color that I didn't like. I liked that the black bled and really gave more of a color hue to the leaf, and once you're done, you can see where that black ink did bleed, but it adds to the effect of the leaf, I think. That's my video. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you were able to get a similar look. If you have any questions, be sure to email me.